Hi, I'm Stefan, the BMW DIY guy. This is the second part of my three-part series for Furiosa, the Road to 500. Now, if you've watched the first part, you've seen where all of the performance modifications that I've made to take my car past 500 horsepower at the motor. Now, you can't have all that go without all the handling to go with it. So I was definitely wanted to look at my suspension, the chassis, the frame, my brakes, all of those other components that go with it. Now, there are a lot of choices you can make. There's many different brands, there's different companies, there's different products and things that you can do. So I like the choices I've made. I've got good quality components in, but they're the choices I've made for my car. So let's walk you through all the different pieces that go to this car. So I'm going to handle two kind of different sections at once, and that is going to be the strut tower braces and the front and rear sway bars. Now, we're looking at the top strut brace. So you can see right here, that goes across the top from KC Design, and I'll show you the matching one that's in the rear. Now, the F30, F32, F3X series has essentially strut braces in them. It's all kind of built into this lower section here. So part of this is already here in how this is all put together. But when I looked at the components, and I looked at what this advantage of a top strut tower brace could bring to add a little bit of rigidity between the two struts. As one comes up, it pushes down on the other. So I really thought that this additional reinforcement was a good idea. Now, as we move front to rear, let's show the front sway bar as well. Now, as we come underneath here and we look, you can see that big yellow bar. This is a massive difference over the OEM. The OEM is more than half that size, and is significantly different. Now, as it kind of hooks down, it's a little hard to see, and it hooks up to a control arm here that then hooks to your struts. Okay, so all this comes through and it ducts all the way through to the other side and hooks up the same on the other side. This makes a huge difference. Again, that shearing torque as you go around corners and that reinforcement that links the two together. This is a solid bar, significantly larger in diameter and solid bar. So the difference it's going to make is dramatic. And again, from KC Design. So let's work our way towards the back. Now, I took the wheels off so you could see these. Again, same thing here. Our bright yellow bar here that comes across, comes all the way down and hooks in right here. Now you can see that this end link a little more clearly than you can on the front. So same thing, hooks down, loops around, goes under, and helps connect those two in a stronger fashion. Larger in diameter and solid core. So quite a significant change from the OEM. And if you'd like, I'll show the OEMs here in just a moment. Now, lastly, from KC Design, as we work our way around, we look here in the trunk, we can see the rear tower bar that I've connected across the trunk as well. Now, my initial thought was, I'll be honest, it's going to get in the way. And with the exception of a little bit of scuffs you can see on the paint where I've added things, put things into my trunk and taken it out, it's really not been in the way at all. And again, I really want to add as much rigidity and strength to the body to cut down on body roll, and these four things make a really significant difference. I still have my original OEM sway bars on hand, so I grabbed the rear, and as you can see as I'm kind of placing it here next to the rear, because the front is much harder to show, hopefully you can see the diameter difference between the two. Now the rear is solid, the OEM is solid, but the diameter is significantly bigger on the KC Design. So again, that's going to add a lot more strength and rigidity to the whole design and across the rear of your car. All right, next up, and very, very important, is what you do with your suspension itself. Now, I made the choice to upgrade from my OEM. I did not have the electronic adjustable, and I went with the BILSTEIN B16s, which you can see right here. So, big difference with coilovers over the OEMs. Their performance is better, their handling is better, but then also with this model, it's also adjustable as well. And you can see this adjustable ring right here, where you can actually bring the height of your car down. I was fairly conservative when I installed these and probably brought my car down ½ inch, maybe a little bit more, primarily because I have a very steep driveway, and the last thing I want to do is scrape my car coming and going. Now, subsequently, I could probably bring it down safely another ½ inch or so, which I'm probably going to do sometime in the future. But as you can see, big change there. Now, let's go ahead and roll to the back, take a look, because the difference with the rears, where the fronts, where the spring sits on top of the strut, in the rears it's different. You can see the strut secured here at the top, comes down, it's secured at the bottom, and then your spring is separate here to the rear. Also adjustable here with this ring where you can adjust the height of the car. So big, huge difference in the performance and handling of your car, and it has made a massive difference for me in even day-to-day driving. So one of probably the most difficult things to show in this review, though I've got my install video for this and you'll see it in detail, are the POWERFLEX bushing changes I've made themselves. Now here in the rear, we can see several of them the easiest, so I can point them out, but it's almost impossible to show the rest. So when we look here, you can see that yellow line right there. That is the bushing insert into the front. So this is the subframe, this is the front edge of your subframe, and this is the insert that goes into it. Now also, as we look to the rear, back here, you can see the back one as well. So there's 4 of those total, 2 on each side. I've got the differential bushings in as well. I have the front bushings, which I really cannot show without getting completely underneath the car, tearing the belly pan off and showing everything else. But again, this is a reference for what you can do. My installation video will show you the rest. But those make a tremendous amount of difference because your factory bushings have voids in them. These inserts slide into those voids, stiffen the factory bushings, plus add a little bit of rigidity itself. Now the other thing that I can show here on the front here, forgive the shadows, right here, it's black and a little hard to see, but you can see right here are my control arm bushings. This is also the POWERFLEX front control arm bushing. It cuts down on the amount of deflection and the amount of flexibility in this, which makes your steering more precise and takes a little bit of the slop out. Now these control arms, which you can sort of see, forgive the shadows, it's very common to change those control arms, and a lot of people do that. I decided not to and change the bushings themselves and go with the original control arms, but improved bushings. All right, so with all that power, all that handling, braking really, really matters. So the BMW and their F30 series really haven't done themselves any favors because there's so many complicated versions between rotors and calipers and sport and performance and M Sport and back and forth. Don't blame yourself if you're confused. So I had the sport brakes, but not the M Performance brakes. So very frequently called the gray brakes because your calipers will be kind of bare metal. The fronts will look similar, if not almost identical to these, but gray metal, and the backs look really significantly different. What you also have is a difference in rotor size as well. So you've got a bunch of different options. So now for me, because of the brakes I was coming from and the options that I had, going with OEM, the upgrading to the next step up for OEM made a lot of sense. And I could, especially when I could find the parts less expensively, because yeah, there's a million big brake kits that you can do. I'm running R1 Concept rotors. I think they're absolutely fantastic. They make a fantastic big brake kit. But it is a very, very expensive investment, especially, and you have to consider whether or not you need to spend that much on a daily driver. What I wanted was better braking, but a reasonable way to get there. So for me, it was the R1 Concept rotor upgrades, and then the M Performance calipers. Now, it's gonna be a little hard to see. Let me see if I can get down here a little bit. And yeah, we're looking at a stainless steel brake line. You can see one part of it right here, and you can see the other end of it as it curls around right here. So what I did was, I was able to get myself a used set of M Performance brake calipers, and then got brand new matching rotors. So let me roll back here to the back, and you can see the difference. Huge difference. So now again, and I had these powder coated in red. They were originally that OEM blue that you see that gets beaten up so easily. So when I got them, I had them powder coated red to look the best, and which you can get if you buy the M Performance or M Sport brake kit new. You can get them in red, blue, or orange. So that I really felt was the best option, and stainless steel brake lines all the way around, R1 Concept larger rotors along with the new brake calipers to make a significant difference front and rear. And the reference in size, if you watch my installation video, you'll see all the differences, and I talk about the differences between the sizes, but for me this really was that very logical, most cost-effective upgrade to get better stopping power without going too crazy. All right, so that's basically the end-to-end of the changes that I've made in my suspension. And again, this is intended to be a walkthrough of all of the changes, and you can look at the cards in the video that are going to take you to all the different DIYs of how these projects themselves were done. But I get so many questions about all of the things that I've done to the car that I wanted to give you one index place that you can look at and go through all of the changes. Thank you to all of the folks and companies that I've worked with and all the changes to my car. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you on my next project.